Salem's eerie calm belied a world in turmoil beneath its quaint facade, a world where power was measured not just in land or titles, but in secrets and blood rights. The Blackwell family wasn't just hoarding property, they were guarding an inheritance of occult knowledge, passed from father to son, generation to generation. Historians dismissed these claims as superstition, but documents hidden deep within Salem's private collections tell a different story, of coded manuscripts, alchemical symbols, and dark treaties signed in blood. By the 1800s, the Blackwells had transformed their influence into a sprawling network extending far beyond Massachusetts. In whispered correspondence with European elites and secret societies, the family ensured their place among the architects of power. What was their ultimate goal? To harness the ancient forces the Order of Thorns worshipped, to bend history itself to their will. Records unearthed in the early 20th century reveal that the Blackwells funded expeditions into forbidden knowledge, occult rituals, secret societies, and psychological experiments designed to control minds and rewrite loyalties. They were pioneers in the dark arts of psychological manipulation long before psychology was formalized. Fear, guilt, and religious fervor were their tools, wielded like weapons to shape populations and silence dissent. These weren't relics of a bygone era. They were the blueprint for modern control, embedded in institutions you trust but cannot see fully. Understanding this changes everything. It rewrites the story of how power is consolidated, maintained, and passed on. The Blackwell family's reach is a living thread stretching from Salem's gallows to the corridors of today's power. And the chilling truth? You are part of this story now, because these forces are still at work. You see it in media, politics, social division, and the invisible chains binding millions to systems of control. Recognizing this is the first step toward breaking free. But the deeper you go, the more dangerous it becomes. Shall we descend further into this labyrinth? The threads of Salem's dark tapestry begin to weave into modernity's fabric in ways subtle yet relentless. The Blackwells' legacy of fear and control evolved alongside the nation itself, adapting like a shadow mutating to fit new light. Their ancient rituals, once blood-soaked trials, transformed into psychological warfare waged through mass media, legislation, and social engineering. In the 20th century, secret societies inherited the torch, embedding themselves in governments, banks, and religious institutions. These societies, heirs of the Order of Thorns, mastered the art of invisibility, operating in plain sight while shaping the rules of the game. Control no longer required gallows or overt brutality. Instead, it became a careful orchestration of consent through manipulation, distraction, and fear-mongering. The mechanism is eerily similar to what Mercy saw in the Blackwell ledger: divide, distract, dominate. Divide communities by sowing discord and mistrust, distract the masses with spectacle and noise, dominate through laws, surveillance, and psychological conditioning. Salem's tragic trials were the prototype. The Blackwell's strategy, refined over centuries, now powers the machinery of modern control. Media sensationalism mirrors the witch hysteria's frenzy. Political polarization echoes neighbor against neighbor accusations. Surveillance and data harvesting serve as modern-day spectral evidence, unseen but omnipresent. Institutions once trusted to protect instead monitor, manipulate, and suppress. Understanding this is not paranoia, it is clarity. It is the beginning of reclaiming autonomy from a system designed to keep you compliant. But remember, those in power resist exposure. Whistleblowers, truth-tellers, and rebels are branded threats, cast out, silenced. To navigate this dark history is to accept the risk of being hunted by shadows. But it is also to embrace the power of knowledge, the most potent weapon of all. If you feel the pull, the urgency to continue, say it now: I walk the shadow path. Type it twice in the comments to cement your resolve, because what lies ahead will challenge everything you think you know. The Blackwell dynasty's shadow stretched far beyond Salem's borders, infiltrating the arteries of emerging American institutions. Banks, courts, universities, all became vessels for their influence, quietly shaping the nation's destiny from behind closed doors. Hidden alliances forged in secrecy ensured the family's power was never just inherited. It was engineered. In the late 19th century, the Blackwell descendants aligned with rising industrial magnates, embedding themselves within the birth of corporate America. Their old-world occult knowledge blended seamlessly with New World capitalism, a fusion of mysticism and money that fortified their grip. Psychological manipulation evolved into public relations, propaganda, and mass marketing, tools designed to mold public perception and manufacture consent. Every crisis was an opportunity. Economic crashes, wars, social upheavals, all were exploited to tighten the reins of control. The Blackwell's blueprint had transcended witch trials. It became the architecture of modern power. Through this lens, events often dismissed as random or natural disasters reveal another layer, carefully orchestrated moments to centralize wealth and influence. As you watch the news, scroll social media, or observe political theater, recognize the patterns. They are not accidental. This is the legacy Mercy Blackwell unwittingly exposed, a grand design of systemic control masquerading as civilization's progress. And at the heart of this design lies a fundamental truth. Power is not given, it is taken, through fear, deception, and silence. Breaking this cycle demands awakening. Awakening is not comfortable, it is not safe, but it is necessary. To walk this path is to claim freedom from the unseen chains forged centuries ago. If you feel the weight of this truth, the pull to dig deeper, prepare yourself. The next sections will reveal psychological mechanisms that bind millions, techniques refined over centuries from Salem to Silicon Valley. Are you ready to confront the machinery that controls minds? Control is not always visible. It is most effective when invisible, woven into the very fabric of your thoughts, your beliefs, your identity. The Blackwells and their successors understood this deeply. Fear was their hammer, but psychological control was their forge. Centuries before modern psychology emerged as a science, they mastered the art of behavioral manipulation. Rituals, isolation, public humiliation, and gaslighting served to fracture minds and will. Consider the Salem witch trials, accusations fueled by paranoia and hysteria, confessions extracted under torture or threats, communities divided into accusers and accused, all carefully choreographed to break resistance. This wasn't chaos, it was precision warfare on the human psyche. Fast forward to today, and you see echoes in mass media fear campaigns, social polarization, cancel culture, and surveillance capitalism. The tactics are updated, but the core remains. Create an enemy, real or imagined, then control the narrative to keep populations fearful and compliant. This is the invisible cage. In such a cage, freedom is an illusion, choice is constrained, and true knowledge is suppressed. Breaking free requires more than awareness. It demands a radical reclaiming of mental sovereignty. It means recognizing manipulation not as mere opinion, but as engineered control. Remember, the mind is the battlefield, and knowledge is the weapon. The Blackwell legacy is not just a historical curiosity, it is a blueprint for understanding how elites maintain power today. You stand now at the crossroads. Will you remain a pawn in their game or rise as a player aware of the board? If you feel the fire of awakening burning within, hold it close and say it aloud. I reclaim my mind. Repeat it twice in the comments below to seal your commitment. The journey grows darker ahead, but the path of truth is the only way forward. The Blackwell's influence was never just about property or money. It was about controlling reality itself. They mastered the ancient practice of narrative control, the ability to shape what people believe is true, right, and possible. Long before modern propaganda machines, they crafted histories that hid inconvenient truths and amplified myths that served their agenda. Salem's official story of the witch trials, the 19 executed and the community's redemption, was a carefully constructed facade. Behind that facade were hundreds more victims erased from history, their disappearances masked as flight or abandonment. This pattern of erasure and rewriting is a hallmark of elite power, controlling not just what happens, but how it is remembered. Think of the stories you've been told about your own history. Whose voices are missing? What uncomfortable truths have been buried? The Blackwell Ledger was a stark reminder that history is written by the victors, often at the cost of millions silenced and forgotten. This control of memory extends into modern institutions, education, media, entertainment, all channels used to reinforce the dominant narrative. The elite protect their secrets by shaping the collective memory, deciding which stories are told and which are buried. But memory is fragile, and cracks appear. The digital age has unleashed a torrent of hidden histories, whistleblowers, and underground movements exposing the lies beneath the polished surface. The Blackwell legacy is no longer safe in the shadows. Truth seekers like you have begun to tear down the walls of silence. Yet the response is swift and brutal. Disinformation, character assassination, censorship. The war for truth is ongoing. To survive it, you must learn not only to question but to discern, to read between the lines and see what's deliberately hidden. If you're ready to take up this mantle of vigilance, type now, "I see through the veil." Say it twice to affirm your vision and strength. The Blackwell family story exposes a chilling truth. History is a weapon wielded by the powerful to suppress rebellion and maintain control. But it's not just history. It's language, symbols, and rituals designed to shape perception and reality itself. Their occult practices were not mere superstition. They were a form of psychological warfare, encoding fear and obedience into the fabric of society. Symbols etched into buildings, cryptic inscriptions in family crests, and clandestine ceremonies were the silent tools of influence, signaling to insiders, intimidating outsiders. These practices didn't end with Salem. They evolved into modern secret societies and fraternal orders, each carrying fragments of this dark knowledge forward. Freemasons, Rosicrucians, and other shadowy groups trace roots back to families like the Blackwells, guardians of forbidden knowledge and elite power. The rituals serve a dual purpose. First, to bind members through shared secrets and oaths, creating loyalty stronger than blood. Second, to assert dominance over the uninitiated through symbolic terror. This psychological control extends beyond the members themselves. It influences the culture, the laws, the very framework of civilization. Today, many of these symbols and rituals are embedded in architecture, government ceremonies, and media, often unnoticed but deeply influential. Recognizing these codes is key to understanding the invisible architecture of power. You are being invited not just to see, but to decode this hidden language. It is a dangerous knowledge, one that carries the risk of isolation, ridicule, or worse. But it is also a path to empowerment, a way to reclaim agency from those who seek to manipulate you. If you feel the call to uncover this hidden language of power, stand firm and declare, "I break the ancient chains." Repeat it twice below to affirm your resolve and courage. Ahead lies the heart of the Blackwell legacy, where occult power and institutional manipulation intertwine.